Welcome to How Do They Afford That, the podcast that peeks into the financial lives of everyday Australians. I'm Michael Thompson. I'm a writer and co-host of the Fear and Greed Business podcast. And as always, I'm with Canna Campbell, financial planner, founder of Sugar Mama TV, the financial literacy platform that you will find on YouTube and podcasts and books and Instagram and more. You really are everywhere, aren't you? I was having a bit of a look around and you have a very extensive online profile.
Thank you, Michael.
That is a compliment, I think, isn't it?
I hope so.
It was meant as one.
Okay.
You have a very nice online profile. I'll put it like that.
I will accept that with open arms. I do love my content creation, but I love helping people with their financial matters.
And the best way to do that is to be in lots of places and places where people can access you easily.
Exactly.
What's been happening? What are we? We're kind of a third of the way through May. What's going on?
I'm actually doing a challenge. As you know, I love my monthly challenges like Frugal February, Manifesting March.
Sorry, the skepticism is already creeping into my voice.
I can feel it in the room. And I am doing this month Meat-Free May.
Why?
So
that was thick with judgment. Why?
Look, meat is obviously very expensive at the moment, and a lot of families are looking to save money, including myself. But there's also benefits to my own health, the planet, the global supply. And I decided, why not? Just to make it a little bit harder, I'm going to add in no alcohol for the month of May. Look, I've just recovered from the flu, to be honest. So, when you're just sick and you're like, I will do anything to ever avoid ever getting sick ever again, which means these ridiculous, crazy sacrifices and so forth. And I'm just embracing it.
All these bargains with God to kind of heal me,
get me
heal
better
me, and I'll
quickly.
give up alcohol and meat forever. I don't know about meat-free May. I would go as far as the occasional meat-free meal. I'm happy to go without meat on the occasional breakfast. No, not okay.
Look, if you can afford the meat at the moment, that's perfectly fine.
Hang on, it was like 2 episodes ago when we were talking about saving money on food, and you said that meat isn't the most expensive thing at the moment. It was actually, was it pasta or something?
No, it was dairy.
Dairy, that's it.
No, what I said was that had increased by the largest percentage, not the dollar amount.
Well, I propose that instead of meat-free May, you should be doing milk-free May then, because that would help your budget out the most.
No, it wouldn't, because it's a percentage. Oh my gosh. Okay, we have to move on.
Okay, I'm sorry for frustrating you. You know what? I will do the occasional meat-free Monday.
Okay, all right.
That's bigger than...
I think that's admirable.
All right, and I'll see what impact it has on the budget. Speaking of budgets, we've got a really interesting topic coming up today because it's something that we've talked a lot about, obviously, the cost of living crisis and the fact that every single aspect of living seems to be getting more expensive. We've talked about grocery shopping, about power bills, all that kind of stuff. Everything is getting more expensive. Today, we're looking at saving money on something that just gets more expensive the more people you have in your house. And I'm really looking to you for some guidance on this one because I suspect that you've got some great tips. We're talking about saving money on clothes.
So I'm not giving you fashion tips today?
You can. I suspect they'll be all bundled in together and I'll have to kind of figure out which one was a fashion tip and which one was actually a money tip. So we'll jump straight into it because this is something that when I say that it gets more expensive the more people you have in your household, obviously that's coming from personal experience now that we've got kids, and suddenly you see that every month you are needing to spend more as the season changes or as kind of school uniforms and then suddenly playing kind of like soccer on the weekends and there's more clothes and more things required. How much, I don't even know if you can answer this, but how much would a typical family actually spend on clothes?
Look, I don't actually like averages because no two families are the same. Everyone is different. And when we hear an average, we tend to compare ourselves and then we start judging ourselves. And that's just a bottomless pit and it doesn't lead to a very happy place. However...
Ooh, I like a however, especially when you said we're not going to judge anyone.
No.
However, let's do it.
But a very valuable statistic that I found is from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and they estimate that globally we throw away $460 billion worth of clothes every single year.
Every year?
Every year. Isn't that insane? And most of those clothes have only been worn 7 to 10 times. Isn't that insane?
7 to 10 times, and it's getting tossed out.
If you think about if you think about it, $460 billion literally going into landfill.
Yeah.
What that could do to our healthcare system, our educational system, our legal system, supporting communities. Like this. So I don't think we should be looking over our neighbour's fence, asking how do they afford their clothing. I think we should be looking inside our own backyard and looking at how do we stop wasting money on clothes.
Okay. Well, I think that'll probably kind of set the theme here. It's not necessarily just about how you buy clothes for cheaper. It's about kind of making better use of them.
But buying for long-term love, I call it.
Oh, okay. Where does it, just to get an idea of kind of where it all fits in, we've talked about your budget system and how it all works. Where does clothes fit into that? Is it kind of like an everyday expense?
Do I buy clothes every day? No.
You know what I mean? Like an essential item that you get every month.
Okay. All right. That's
you're just leaving me just
sorry.
Here, aren't you?
Yeah. No, I'm being mean today. That's not appropriate of me, and please forgive me, Michael. So I have in my budget. I'm feeling really bad now. In my budget, I have my personal budget. That is, I have a set amount of money per month to spend on clothes. Now, I don't necessarily spend that every month, but the great thing about it is because I have it there, I don't ever feel controlled or restricted. And if I want, say I don't buy any clothes that month, that money that I don't spend can roll forward to the next month. And say, for example, I have a wedding coming up and I want to buy a beautiful dress for a special occasion. I can use that monthly amount by saving it up to help pay for that special dress. The same with my kids' clothing. They each have a set amount in the family budget. So I can do exactly the same thing. When they need clothes, there's money there to help pay for it. And if I don't use it, it just rolls forward to the next month. So there's always money to pay for clothes. But there are a gazillion other things I do to actually save money around clothes because I'm someone who actually really appreciates and enjoys fashion.
Okay, well, so there's a gazillion ways to save money on clothes. Let's start with that.
Okay.
How do you actually save money on clothes?
All right, so I have been shopping pre-loved for years. When I started doing this, a lot of people, I guess it was before it was fashionable, you could say, and a lot of people would judge me and turn their nose at me for buying pre-loved clothes and handbags and so forth. But now it's the responsible way to shop. Everyone does it. But I mean, this is going back 15, 17 years even. And I have saved so much money by buying pre-loved. And of course, now it's very fashionable. You know, there's shops like Trading in Style, which is amazing. There are a lot of stores online on Instagram. There's obviously eBay. There's a brilliant online group on Facebook called High End. And you can quite often find brand new clothes, sometimes even with their tags on, and buy them at a pre-loved price, which can be anywhere between 30 to 80% off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
Huge. It really surprises me the amount of people that maybe buy something for one occasion and then want to get rid of it. Or they've bought it and cut the labels off and then realize that it doesn't suit them anymore, or they've outgrown it, or it doesn't meet their needs, or they just discard it for whatever reason.
Well, we've sold a bit of stuff online, kind of on, say, Marketplace, particularly clothes and shoes and things.
Yeah.
Kind of, Sian, my wife, kind of is given a lot of shoes kind of from various family members and things, and they'll often be brand new and they won't fit, so we'll put them online. Does it drive you nuts when you do it, the people that contact you with questions like, what size are they? And you're like, well, you can read the ad. Is it still available? Well, if the ad is up, it's probably still available. What colour are they? Look at the photo. Does it just drive you nuts? I know this is not really relevant, but God, it frustrates me.
Look, I don't actually have that problem. When I put something and sell it, which is what I was about to say, is all those clothes I buy pre-loved, I'm a big on-seller as well of my clothes. But when I do sell, I take really good photographs, make sure the room's nice and bright. I'll take a couple of different photographs at different angles. I add as much information as possible. I don't tend to get annoyed by people asking 1,000 questions. And there's a new great platform, not new, but I've recently discovered, called Depop, which is a great way to just on-sell clothes, shoes and accessories. Depop.
Depop.
Yes.
D-E-E-P-O-P?
D-E-P-O-P.
D-E-P-O-P.
Yes.
Okay. I'm clearly taking notes as we're going. Sorry, please go on.
I recently sold some clothes on Depop, and it was a very smooth transaction. I didn't have annoying questions at all. The other thing is I try and take a capsule wardrobe approach to my wardrobe.
What is it? Sorry, I'm a capsule.
A capsule.
Like a time capsule.
No. So it's a small select collection of clothes, which is typically very classic and very well made. And you can put various different items within your capsule wardrobe collection to make a wide range of different outfits. I believe it's like a sort of French philosophy when it comes to style and fashion and getting dressed. But essentially it means you own less but better quality, and they're timeless pieces that all seamlessly work together. And you could literally get dressed in the dark, grab 2 items and know that you'll look fabulous and chic and elegant.
Is there a risk that you will accidentally grab 2 pairs of pants if you're getting dressed in the dark, and then all of a sudden you're effectively half dressed but double dressed on the bottom half?
Quite possibly, but hopefully before you walk out the door you turn the light on.
Can I ask then, now we're getting into the fashion side of things, and so you'll hear me get very uncomfortable because I've got no idea what I'm talking about. What kind of thing goes into a capsule wardrobe? When you say it's just kind of timeless pieces, what is considered timeless?
Okay.
People are just cringing hearing me ask this. But I'm surely I should know this, but I don't. Sorry.
Well, they're things that really reflect your style, so and your needs as well. So, classic pair of black pants, a Breton striped top, a beautiful trench coat, maybe some ballet flats, a classic black handbag. Everyone's got their own sense of style. You have to build your own capsule wardrobe depending on, the color palette that you like and what makes you feel good getting dressed in the morning. But essentially, it's really timeless pieces that have, never gone out of fashion.
Huh. Okay. See, if I bought a trench coat, people would look at me suspiciously.
Yeah, I have to admit, so would I. I would be calling the police. But the other great thing I do, and I haven't done this for a while because I haven't needed to, but sometimes we can very conveniently forget what we've bought. Like we just kind of sweep our purchases under the mat. So what I did for a while was, and this was brilliant, every time I would buy something, I would put a note in my phone as to what I bought, the date, and how much it cost.
Okay.
And every time I'd go and buy something, I would make myself look at my phone, look at my note, and I was starting to realize, actually, I only bought something 3 weeks ago. And look at the cost of that, and then look at what you bought the month before that and the month before that. And it was very confronting. But if I hadn't looked at that note, I know this sounds very restrictive and controlling, but it's about being accountable and being real and honest in a time where most of us are really having to tighten the belt. And it really was a big wake-up call for me. And it slowed down my consumption massively. And it very much was a wake-up call for me. So highly recommend that.
Yeah, there's no judgment. I was more just kind of almost marveling at your discipline then, that if you were to look at that and go, well, hang on, I actually bought something 3 weeks ago, I'm not going to buy this. There would be a lot of people that would look at that on their phone, then just put their phone in their pocket and buy it anyway. I'm not thinking of anyone in particular, and certainly not my wife.
She won't like hearing my advice recommendations to make a note on her phone, but it does really help. And it's funny, I can be having a glass of wine with my girlfriends, obviously pre-May, and we'll be talking about how we don't really spend money anymore and we've really cut back. But actually, sometimes that's not necessarily the case. We've just convinced ourselves. Another big thing is what I recommend for everyone is really look at the quality of what you're buying rather than the quantity. Look at the workmanship. Look at how it might stand the test of time. I talked about that long time love. If you buy a pair of black pants, for example, they should last you years and years, not just a season. We've really got to be looking at the way we shop, not just from a financial perspective, but from an environmental point of view as well. So I'm a really super, super fussy shopper. I really buy things on the spot. I'll put it on hold. I'll come back a few times and try it on. I'll look online to see how I can potentially style it and wear it various different ways before, and then I will go and buy it. And what I will sometimes do, which is a bit of a cheeky, sneaky hack, is if you, say, try something in the store, quite often you're better off to go home and order it online, because if you haven't signed up to their newsletter or you sign up with a new email address, you quite often get 10 or 15% or sometimes more off your first order.
Which can actually add up to be a fair bit.
Exactly. And obviously you've got to take into consideration shipping, but, a lot of companies will waive the shipping if you spend over a certain amount. But, it does actually, it's a nice little hack to know about, and you just need to maybe use a new email address every time you shop.
How many email addresses have you got, just out of interest? Is it like 40, 50?
No, that's how many bank accounts you have, Michael.
Oh, savage.
Savage. I have 3 to be honest with you, but I only use 2.
What I do is, and this is a little bit of homework that I did. I went into my wardrobe to see kind of what approach that I take to saving money on clothes. And I'm really a kind of a T-shirt and jeans kind of guy. And so I counted all the T-shirts that I had. And in current kind of rotation, I have 32 T-shirts going at the same time, which means that I can effectively wear one a day for an entire month and never have to do any washing.
I like the sound of that.
That is a very good budget tip. Buy enough T-shirts that you never have to use the washing machine.
But there is a stroke of genius to that.
Yes, I think so. What is it?
Well, when you look at what's in your wardrobe and what has stand the test of time, you can actually see which brands are really good brands for you to be buying. So say, for example, let's say Uniqlo. You've got a pile of Uniqlo T-shirts and you've had them for a couple of years. You know that Uniqlo is a great brand for you to stick to.
Yep.
Ones where you've bought from another brand, maybe a fast fashion brand or one that's lesser quality, you know not to buy those anymore. So you can really get a good feel as to the brands that you know and trust and are worth spending sometimes a little bit more on to get that longevity, that long-term love.
Can I ask you a really stupid question? Fast fashion, what does that actually mean? Because I've heard it a lot, but I don't really know exactly. Is it just kind of stuff that's made kind of on the cheap, mass-produced, and it's designed to be worn a couple of times and then tossed?
Pretty much. It's dictated by the manufacturers and retailers, and they have a high turnover of what's in fashion. So you will literally go into one store and, see a whole wardrobe or season of clothing, and then you'll go back the next week at the same time and everything's gone. There's a whole other collection of clothes with different colors, different styles, different cuts. And it really does play to insecurities about, trying to keep up with trends, and creates this insatiable appetite where we just want to consume and consume and consume and, completely forget about what we purchased the week before or the month before. It's very, very damaging to our environment. It's a global problem because sometimes it can indirectly support child labor. There's multiple problems with it. But at the end of the day, we've got to take a lot of ownership and step up to this problem ourselves and go, well, if we continue to shop like this, we're only adding to the problem, which is why I'm all for slow consumption, sticking to brands that you know, buying, becoming a really fussy shopper, looking at quality, shopping for your actual lifestyle rather than your fantasy life, which is, something that some of my friends, including myself, have gotten into the trap of buying dresses. But I'm a mother with 3 kids. I'm not going to any parties to wear a party dress anytime soon. So for me to go and buy a beautiful party dress is a complete and utter waste of money right now. I need things that are machine washable, and my kids can get dirty fingers and snot and avocado and all the other delightful things that excrete out of children all over me. So I need to shop for my lifestyle.
That is quite the image, isn't it? But it's actually a very realistic and very practical kind of image. You've mentioned 2 things there that I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about kind of the kids.
Yeah.
And because that is, they grow out of things so quickly and they just go through things.
And
so
they
quickly.
trash things.
They
trash.
Absolutely do. And I also want to talk to you about special occasions, because there are instances where you've got a wedding or something coming up and really you may not actually be able to get by with the stuff that you would wear every day. So we'll come back in a moment and I'll talk to you about those ones. All right, Kanna, we're talking about saving money on clothes. And so we've done kind of the capsule wardrobe and the idea of some timeless kind of pieces and mixing and matching, and your foolproof way of getting a 10% discount from a website by using one of your many, many email addresses to sign up for a new account. The kids, how do you do it? Because, they get bigger, kids grow. I feel like I'm stating the obvious there. But as you said before, they are really, really messy and they destroy things and they get holes in everything, things that shouldn't. I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to see whether a pair of scissors would cut through a jumper. So I tested it on the jumper I was wearing. And suddenly you've just got this hole in your sleeve. Good luck explaining that one.
If you were playing with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, it probably wasn't the smartest thing to do to test it on myself while I was wearing it. But I survived. Where do we start? What's the best tip? Is there a single best tip?
Look, hand-me-downs are great. I have a great community of girlfriends where we pass clothes on. Mm-hmm. And my son Rocco is 9 turning 10, so I pass his clothes on to my girlfriends. There are girlfriends of mine who have older girls, so they'll pass their girls' clothes back to me. We have this beautiful rotating circle of clothes. And there's something really special about seeing your friends' kids wearing, that jumper that my son used to wear when he was 3 years old. It's a really warm, heartfelt feeling. And it is a great way of saving money. And for people out there thinking, well, I don't have any friends that have kids in the same age group as mine, that's okay. There's actually so many groups on Facebook where you can buy bundles of clothes, literally bags of clothes, off from people in your local community or sometimes even interstate where you just have to pay for the postage. It really is quite incredible. And if you're giving back, you can always find people who want to do a swap. It's a great way of saving money. And obviously on top of that, there's the pre-loved economy. My son is at school, so I will buy as much as possible through the secondhand clothing shop because that's a great way of saving money. That's 90% cheaper than buying brand new.
Yeah, is that kind of uniforms that we're talking about there?
Uniforms, yeah. So, if I buy a new T-shirt for my son, it's $35. But if I buy him pre-loved, it's $2.50.
Yeah. Uniforms are naturally expensive. It kind of feels like everything, because I remember kind of buying socks in high school and it'd be like $20 a pair or something. Really, that doesn't feel like it should be as much as it is.
I have to agree. I went to Kmart the other day to buy Rocco some school socks, and I was really shocked as to how expensive they were. I didn't buy 2 packs. I just bought one because I exercise self-control.
But that feels kind of impractical because he's going to need socks every day. So maybe a second pair.
No, there's a couple of pairs in the packet. It's okay.
Maybe he was just on sock rations and just wears one pair and then washes them overnight and wears them again the next day.
Look, you do raise a good point. Obviously, check what you've got before you go shopping, just like you would at the supermarket. We quite often buy the same thing over and over again. But if you can learn to, as my girlfriend says, shop your wardrobe, you actually just cannot quite often realize you have everything that you already need and don't need to go and buy anything else. And the other thing is, I don't ever pay full price for my kids' clothes, ever. So I did a bit of research and I worked out there are at least 12 different events each year where, for example, Easter weekend or Anzac Day or end of financial year sales, even Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there's a huge amount of sales where most of these stores will have a special on and you get to save 20% off. And that's when if there are certain clothes that I need to buy for my kids that I can't find pre-loved or haven't been handed down, I will use those opportunities. But then I'll also shop via cash rewards and get commission back on my own shopping, which then goes to the $1,000 project. So I'm really strategic with my kids' clothes and about, making sure I clip my ticket everywhere possible to get the most amount of money.
My favourite tip is with pajamas and Peter Alexander.
Oh,
which is kind of good quality, I think.
Yeah.
Pajamas, and we seem to just have an abundance of pajamas. We have never, ever paid full price, and that they have these kind of sales a few times a year where you end up paying, I think, $19.
Stop it.
Which is just amazing. When normally it's $70 or $80. And here you are paying kind of $19 per item, which is for good quality kind of clothes. That's good.
Exactly. And look, there are at least 12 events each year. That means you only really need to wait a maximum of 4 weeks before buying that item and getting it at a great discount. And the other thing is I really pay attention to what's good quality and what's not. I know, for example, for my son buying trousers from Cotton On, they wash really well. They stand the test of time and they're comfortable. Whereas if I need to buy him, say, T-shirts, I'll shop at another store because I know that they wash better from there and they tend to last a lot better, easier to get stains out. So I really pay attention to what is actually worth spending and what's not.
The other one that we use a lot is Next. Do you use Next? Which I think is the UK-based one. And again, this is probably a good idea that we always go in with another family to put in an order. So that way you kind of split the cost of the shipping and all of that kind of thing. And it is just so versatile that this is for the kids. That you can get kind of great kind of T-shirts and things like that. The best part of all of it is that it is so hardy that you can put it all into the washing machine, put it all into the dryer, nothing ever shrinks, and it's just, and their motto is something like kind of wear me, love me, pass me on, or something like that. So it's designed to be kind of shared around with other people. So we love that. And the fact that you can actually just put it into the dryer, fantastic throughout winter. When suddenly you've got anything, just washing machine, dryer, bang, away you go.
Go you. Sharing fashion, clothes-saving hacks and tips.
I'm pretty proud of myself right now. Admittedly, any tips I have shared today are actually tips from Sian that I have kind of stolen as my own. And if she was to listen to this and note that I wasn't giving her credit for them, I would be in a huge amount of trouble. So all credit to Sian. That hurts to say. I love kind of stealing the credit for other people's ideas. Please go on.
All right, so should we talk about maybe shopping for special occasions?
Yes, because this is the tricky one. If you have, say, a wedding coming up, or if you've got a work function that is something a little bit out of the ordinary, you can't really go necessarily, I'm making assumptions here, which is always risky, but you can't necessarily go to your capsule wardrobe. I'm going to use that term all the time now. If you need kind of a formal dress, if you need something that's a little bit fancier than your day-to-day, what do you do without just completely blowing your budget?
Look, renting is a fantastic option, and there are so many amazing online stores that will rent these incredible, fresh off the rack dresses, even shoes and accessories, so that you can be dressed and feeling fabulous to wear to your special event for a fraction of the price. However, you do have to be careful, and I had a friend who learnt this the hard way on the weekend.
Ooh, go on. I like hearing about other people's errors.
So we were at a wedding in Queenstown, and a friend of ours didn't have a black tie suit, so he rented it and picked it up, no problem, landed, got ready to go to the wedding, discovered that they packed the wrong size shirt. And where we were staying in Queenstown, there was only one store that sold black tie shirts, and it was a very, very, very expensive store, and the shirt probably cost about 3 or 4 times what it costs to actually rent the outfit. So make sure you're going to do this with enough time to check what you've ordered, and obviously make sure there's no damage, because you need to let them know before you wear it in case they try and say that you caused the damage in the first place. And also check things like late fees, the sizing, what are the terms and conditions, like do you have to get it dry clean, for example. But it is definitely a great way of wearing something new, be able to squeeze into your budget something fabulous for a very special occasion. And another great idea is, and I have actually rented dresses for special occasions a few times, but to be honest, what I have found is I can quite often find the exact dress that I want online on eBay or one of the pre-loved secondhand clothing stores for the same price as a rental. And I can actually own that dress outright.
And would you sell it after you've worn it for that one off? Are you one of those people that wouldn't want to wear the same thing to, if you've been to a wedding and worn one dress then and you wouldn't wear it to another wedding, would you sell it?
No, I'm actually the opposite. I wear stuff over and over again to the point where Tom actually says to me, can you please go and buy something? I'm so sick to death of seeing you wear that again. And I have to go to a lot of work events for Tom, and I quite often have to be in a dress. And I haven't been wearing the same dresses for, I think, 6 or 7 years. And about a month ago, I actually said to Tom, I think you're right. I do maybe need to look at maybe on-selling some of these dresses and buying a few new pieces perhaps. And he was like, thank God, like finally. He's like, the latent effect, I'm always right. You know, you take forever to realize what I'm saying is right. So I'm actually...
It seems like quite a significant issue for him.
It is a big issue for him. But it's a big issue for me because when I buy something, I buy what I love, value, use, and appreciate. That's my shopping mantra. So for me to let go of something, it has to be because it doesn't fit me anymore or it's got a stain that I just can't get fixed. And even then I'll sometimes look at dyeing a dress if I can't get a stain out so I can still get more wear out of it. I'm sounding like such a tight ass right now.
Hang on, stop. You would dye a dress.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't get a stain out.
There's a couple of really good businesses. One is out near the airport. The other one is in Surrey Hills. And you can drop your clothes. Actually, you can post your clothes to them and they will have a look at the stains and tell you what colours you can dye your clothes. And it's all about getting more wear out of your clothes. If you think about it, if you've got a beautiful dress, say a white dress, which easily stains, the cut's great, you feel great, it's devastating when you get a stain on it. But if you can then have it dyed, say, hot pink or navy blue or black, for example, and you get some more wear out of it, it can quite often be, worth the investment.
And is it affordable?
It's very affordable. It depends on the fabric, of course, because some fabric needs a different type of dye. And the garment, whether it's a dress or a top or a suit. But yeah, it definitely can add up. So it also depends on obviously how much you paid for the original garment in the meantime. But it definitely makes a lot of sense.
I've never heard of people doing that. I'm impressed. I did not think that you could find a way to surprise me with frugality, and you did. I thought I'd heard it all from you. One last one, because I know we are actually over time now. Clothing as gifts, because you say that Tom was getting frustrated with you wearing the same thing all the time. Could he not have given you something for Christmas or for your birthday? Would you have accepted that? Would that have been tolerable? Or you look a little bit judgmental right now.
It's funny you say that. The jumper I'm wearing right now, Tom bought this for me 4 years ago for my birthday, and I absolutely love it. So occasionally I will say to Tom, look, it's my birthday coming up. I really want to buy this. It's something special. I wouldn't normally go and buy this for myself. Perhaps, you could buy me this for my birthday. And Tom's very, very generous like that. And at any opportunity to see me wearing something else, he will literally jump online within a split second and order it. So I'm very lucky like that. But I do stick to a budget, and it's about feeling good in what you put on in the morning. Getting dressed should be a great ritual that sets you up for success for the day.
Yep.
It's not about fast consumerism. It's about, using clothes as a Band-Aid. Sometimes we need to explore what's going on emotionally if we have this shopping addiction where we're just constantly consuming and drowning, getting deeper and deeper into debt, watching our savings evaporate and going back financially. That's when we've really got to invest some time and going, what's really going on here? And what changes do I need to make? And how can I come from a place where I'm kind and respectful and honour what fashion means to my life, but it also is in positive alignment to my financial well-being?
That's fascinating.
Is that profound?
I am overwhelmed by the profundity of it. Is that a word? Profundity?
I think it is. You're the journalist and author. I wouldn't be going to me right now.
Usually I would Google it to make sure before I said it. So I'm just going to put it out there, operating without a net here. Look, we've covered a fair bit. Clearly we throw out too much. We throw out too many clothes, and we need to be more careful. Just think about what we're using, think about what we're buying, think about what we're throwing out and whether it can be reused in another way. In terms of fitting this all into your budget, it is about just kind of being sensible and allocating amounts for it each month. And if we were to use your system, kind of allowing it to roll over
Absolutely.
each month until you kind of need to actually spend it. When you're actually getting down to saving money on clothes, then consider things like pre-loved. And then once you have bought something and worn it, sell it.
Sell it, yeah.
Make a profit if you can.
And know the brands that actually hold their value, because there are certain brands, particularly the slightly more expensive ones, unfortunately, but not necessarily all of them, but there are some brands that will actually hold their value really well. For example, Camilla and Mark and Zimmermann, Basic, which I will admit they're expensive brands, they're special occasion brands. But if you jump online, quite often they do hold their value. And every now and again, because to buy pre-loved, you do need to check on a regular basis. You'll find a gem where someone's listed because they don't really care and they've put it down as a ridiculously cheap price and you can grab a bargain. But, when I know, for example, if I'm going to buy a beautiful dress, to buy a brand that holds its value if I do ever have to go and sell it further down the track.
The other big thing I learned today was about the capsule wardrobe, which is a selection of clothes that you can kind of mix and match and just depend on them. You know that they are there and that they should ideally last you years. And as you said, that you should be able to get dressed in those in the dark.
Michael, I don't know if you realise it, but you actually have a capsule wardrobe, because every time I see you, you're wearing pretty much the same version. So your capsule wardrobe is a plain white T-shirt, a flannelette, a pair of jeans, and some Vans. That's your capsule wardrobe. And you must have 7 different flannelettes. I know you now have 31 plain T-shirts. Oh, occasionally you do mix it up with a striped T-shirt, I've noticed. And you probably have about 9 or 10 pairs of
shoes,
blue jeans and 7 or 8 probably Vans or whatever
Yep,
sneaker
that are
of
just
choice.
varying shades of brown to black and some whitish ones.
Done. That's your capsule wardrobe. You didn't even know it.
That's a revelation. I've got a capsule wardrobe. That's great.
I think you could see you very, very European.
Yes, I think that feels very exotic, doesn't it? Very quickly, quality over quantity. We know that makes a lot of sense. Stick to brands that you know. Stick to brands that you know are going to last and that work for you. Sign up to websites to get their discounts when you're looking at the kids' clothings, hand-me-downs, and kind of passing things along and kind of create, if you can, that little community where you're able to pass things, receive things, and it just gives clothes a second or a third or a fourth life. And you are right, it is actually really rewarding and really nice when you see something that your own kids have worn and you don't want to throw it out. You also can't just hold on to things forever. It is really, really special to actually see those things being kind of reworn in future years. Know how to kind of shop the sales, wait for those sales. There's a stack of them every year. Know where to spend the money. Know the things that actually need money spent on them in order to get things that are going to last long enough. And when it comes to special occasions, kind of consider renting, consider, again, watching out for those sales, buying the things that you might be able to get a couple of wears out of, and on-sell stuff once you've worn it if you don't need it anymore. Is that a fairly good summary?
That was excellent.
Oh, thank you. All right. If anyone wants more information or to see you wearing your capsule wardrobe, not all at once, that would be quite amusing actually, where can they find you?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because on my lifestyle account at Canna Campbell Official on Instagram, I share all my financially friendly fashion hacks and how I find staples and where I buy them from and how I style them to create a variety of different outfits. So if anyone's interested to see how I shop, you can obviously follow me there. But otherwise, I have Sugar Mama's Fireplay podcast, which is published every Monday morning. And of course, at Sugar Mama TV for my Instagram content, where I also provide you with all the fresh links to all of my content the moment it goes live.
And you can hear me every day with Sean Aylmer on Fear and Greed, Australia's most popular business news podcast. Thank you very much for listening to How Do They Afford That? Remember to hit follow on the podcast. Please leave us a review as well. We love those. Next week, we are going to be talking about credit scores, which is something I know very little about, but I'm actually really looking forward to it because it's something that we hear tossed around all the time and it seems to be particularly big in the US. But if you're going for a loan or anything along those lines, you probably need to know about credit scores. So don't miss that one.